Welcome to UAPB Currents. I'm your host, Shelly Roby Ingram, and today we're joined by Dr. Sederick Rice, who is the Assistant Professor of Biology here at the University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff, champion for the university, Vice President of the Senate, so many titles. Thank you for joining us here today on UAPB Currents.
Thank you for the opportunity.
And as I said, you hold several titles here at the university, so we're going to go ahead and jump into the show so that we can discuss as many of those as we possibly can. And I know that you have a desire to talk about the university itself and your love for the university and your dedication to the university and your desire to see that in others. So let's start out by having you tell us a little bit about yourself. Who is Dr. Sederick Rice, and how did you come to be here at the University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff?
Okay. Well, first, I'm born and raised in Pine Bluff, Arkansas. I grew up, I went to many of the local schools here, Bel Air. I'll start with Bel Air, Jack Roby, Pine Bluff High. I was in the band. I love music. I played the tuba, which is one of my, one of my motivating pieces for life, being a musician. So in 1990, I graduated from Pine Bluff High, and I was offered a scholarship here at UAPB. And it was interesting because UAPB wasn't my first choice. I really wanted to go to the University of Southern California because I loved their marching band, the Trojans. And I was advised by one of my mentors at the time, Ms. Jewel C. Watley, who's my science teacher, to don't go to USC, don't go to California, go to UAPB. You need to get your feet wet before you leave town first. And at first it's interesting because at first I was kind of offended, like, so what do you mean? You don't think I can make it at USC? But as I got older, I realized what she was saying, and what she was saying was that you need to learn a little bit more before you go out into this mean world. So right. I graduated from Pine Bluff High in 1990. Then I came to UAPB on a band scholarship. I was in the marching musical machine of the Mid-South. At that time, it was designated M4, but people didn't really call it M4 because of Mr. Harold Strong back in the 70s. I became a biology major, and I kind of had a duality of the mind. I wanted to do two different things. I love music, but I also love science. I was offered the opportunity to work with Dr. Clifton Orr, who was my first mentor here, Ms. Maddie Glover, who was another mentor, as well as Dr. William Willingham. And we worked on a program here called MBRS, and it gave freshman students, juniors and sophomore students, and senior students an opportunity to do research on campus. So for 4 years, I was doing band, and then I was doing science. Okay. And I always had a desire to get a PhD, which is what the program, tried to promote. So in 1994, I graduated from UAPB, and I went to Delaware State University, where I got my master's in biology, and I love music so much that I actually marched in the band my first year.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, which is unusual for a graduate student because you're so focused on what you're trying to do. But I marched that first year, but then the second year, I eventually let it go. I graduated from there in 1996, and through a bridge program called Develop, which was promoted by another one of our alumni, Dr. Hazel Reed. I was able to transition from Delaware State University to the University of Vermont. So it was a bridge program in terms of collaboration, saying you get your master's here and then get your PhD in Vermont. So I went to Vermont, and I was there 7 years. So from 1996 to 2003, I was in the Great White North, and a lot of snow. It was cold, but through God and friends and help.
And Pine Bluff.
Oh, big difference.
Pine Bluff.
big difference. I grew up and familiar with rural areas, but right. Vermont was very rural. I think the whole state at that time had only 500,000 people in it. So when you compare and contrast the state of Arkansas with Vermont, there's a difference. So I finished there in 2003. I had finally achieved my PhD through a lot of prayer and suffering and support from my family and friends. And I left, and I got a job with the Environmental Protection Agency in Washington, D.C. So I was doing a postdoc, and I worked for the National Center for Environmental Assessment. So I moved from doing laboratory work to more policy work. So instead of me going to the lab every day and trying to find cures for various diseases, now I was reading a lot of documents and making a lot of assessments about things that had already happened. So I did that for 3 years, and then, you know, God kind of changed my life a little bit. And I transitioned and I became a high school teacher. Okay. And that was big for me because, you know, trying to understand why did I get all this education, 16 years, to turn around and be a high school teacher. So in 2006, I became a high school biology teacher at Bowie High School in Bowie, Maryland, okay? And that's where I learned to teach. And that's where I began to understand, you know, what God was doing in my life in terms of giving me that skill set. Mm-hmm. So if I had an opportunity, and I've been blessed to come back to my alma mater, I'll be one of the most effective teachers working here. Okay. So I stayed at Bowie High School for 4 years. And in 2010, I was offered the opportunity to come back home. Mm-hmm. And I took it. I've always wanted to be a faculty member here, even when I was here as a student. And I'm just blessed and honored, you know, to be here at this time.
Okay. And now what was that transition like then for you've done laboratory work and policy work, mm-hmm. and then moved on to teaching high school students, mm-hmm. which is an experience all in itself, yeah. to then moving on to teaching college students. Okay. Who, you know, I think high school students, they're still children. Mm-hmm. They're still, you know, a level of understanding and respect that they have. Not saying the college students don't have it, but they're grown. Mm-hmm,
so, some of them.
So you okay? Or that's what they believe. 100%. I'm on my own now. Sure. How was that experience coming back here then to UAPB and teaching who you were this many years ago?
Well, I think they're one and the same, and that's the first thing that I learned. I mean, now don't get me wrong. I was fighting and scratching when I had to transition from making a lot of money in the federal government and going, you know, essentially cutting my salary in half to work on a high school level. Mm-hmm. But it was about the skill set. And I remember the first conversation I had with the vice principal that hired me. At that time, somebody like me with a PhD going into sciences, working in the Prince George's County School District would make $60,000 a year. I said, oh, okay, that's great, that's fine. But during the whole conversation in the interview process, she kept saying $30,000 a year. So I kept saying, well, why do you keep saying $30,000 a year when, you know, the salary scale says 60? Said, oh, these are for certified teachers. Oh, okay. So now I had to have kind of a reflection and an epiphany in my life to realize I had all this education, but I still didn't have enough education to do what I needed to do here. So I had to go back to school and essentially get a master's degree in education and learn how to teach. So becoming a high school teacher put me on the front line. Okay. I mean, dealing with parents put me on the front line, dealing with emotions, classroom management. I equate my success here at UAPB in being one of the most effective professors that I can be to those experiences I had in high school. Now, all of my mentors had always told me to do that first, but I said, no, I don't need to do that. Mm-hmm. But that's where I see that taking place. Now, in terms of students here, they're really the same students. Okay. I'm working with a STEM program now. These students have been graduated for 3 or 4 weeks. Okay. So really, they still have a high school mentality. But what I've learned is to use those same skill sets on all the levels, because students are still students. They need to be engaged. They need to be cared for, and that attention to detail. Yeah, I understand that they are grown. But in this day and time, and different from my generation, they need a little bit more to help them be successful.
Okay. All right, we're going to go to break, and when we come back, then we'll talk more about the STEM program and some of the other classes and programs that you teach in here at the university. Okay? Mm-hmm. All right. We'll be right back on UAPB Currents.
Hey, listen up. We have a challenge.
A big challenge.
Many African Americans fighting diseases like leukemia,
lymphoma,
and sickle cell anemia can't find
marrow donors.
We need more African Americans to step up.
Step up. You could be the one to save a life.
You can be the match.
Take the first step at bethematch.org. Step your game up.
Over 13 million people are affected by famine, war, and drought in the Horn of Africa.
Make a simple text donation of $10.
Welcome back to UAPB Currents, and again we're joined by Dr. Sederick Rice, who is an assistant professor of biology here at the University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff. And you were just telling us about your journey this journey full of education
Yes.
that brought you back to the University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff through many different careers and opportunities that I would think would probably make you a more well-rounded teacher, someone who can bring all types of experiences to the students. I know that's something that's important when you're talking to students about careers in the field, that sometimes when people hear biology, they think pre-med or teacher, you know, and they don't think about all of the areas and aspects in between. So tell us a little bit about how that's developed your teaching and mentoring style, and what exactly you consider to be your teaching and mentoring style.
Well, I think for me, it's about experience. I believe the students should get the best experiences as possible. A lot of the snafus that I've had in life were not because I couldn't do it, it's because I wasn't exposed to it.
Right.
And if you're not exposed to it on this level, and you're trying to compete with people on the next level and even higher, then it gives you some trouble. I think that from the mentoring standpoint, I think students should understand that life is about relationships.
Yes.
You can have a 4.0, you can have all the AP classes in the world, you can have a good rapport and be articulate, but again, it's about that relationship. Now, what I'm beginning to teach my students now is that what you want from me is not the A. Anybody can get an A. What you want from me is that letter of recommendation saying that I co-sign and believe in your skills and abilities. So I think my mentoring style is teaching students to develop better relationships with faculty and staff here on the campus, because I think that once those relationships have been secured, then the sky's the limit.
Right, absolutely. That's an awesome thing to teach, and it's very true. Now, I know one of the things that you talked about in the previous segment, that you're having the opportunity to work with the STEM students this summer, which is science, technology, engineering, mathematics program that we have here at the university. So how has that been, and what exactly are you doing with the STEM Academy?
It's been really great. This is my 3rd year doing it. I've been working with HBCU up, also with ARC-LSAMP. And again, it's taking me back to those core skills I got in Maryland at Bowie High School, because these are high school students transitioning into college life. They have a pretty rigorous schedule. A lot of them are tired, they're sleepy, they're frustrated, but again, these are all the experiences they will have to go through in order to be successful on this level. I've had just a blast teaching them, seeing their transition. And the one thing that I didn't mention before is that I'm glad that I'm on this side now. Because one thing that helps me as a mentor is remembering when I was the student.
Right.
Remembering when I walked to class, remembering when I had to get to the cafeteria, remembering when I had to take care of financial aid, or even to knock on someone's door and ask them for a letter of recommendation to get an opportunity. So as I teach and as I mentor, I remember those things. And I try to give more. I try to give as my mentors have given to me.
Okay. And what are some of the courses that you teach here at the university?
I teach pretty much all the science courses from lower level to upper level. I teach biological sciences, face-to-face and online, which is something new for our department, or we're being developed, in terms of distance education, distance learning initiatives. I teach genetics. I teach anatomy and physiology. I teach principles of biology, and my goal is to get into more gateway science courses, because I realize that if I can get students a little earlier on in their science careers, then they will be much more effective long term. I also teach upper level classes. I teach a couple of graduate courses, bioinformatics, advanced bioinformatics, and advanced cell biology.
Okay. And out of the courses you teach, and none of your students will be offended if you say, what's one or two of your favorite subjects to teach in when it comes to biology?
I would think biological sciences, principles, and genetics.
Okay.
And I like them for varying reasons. I like biological sciences because that's really one of the first courses that students take right out of high school here. I also like principles because, again, that's my opportunity to still have that high school model and then transition those students into kind of a college and university mindset. And finally, genetics. And I like genetics because it's kind of middle grade, and it can apply to a lot of things in life. What I try to do is to try to basically I try to teach for understanding, for application in life.
Okay. All right. Now, one of your other roles that you serve here at the university is on the Faculty Staff Senate.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about your duties on the Faculty Staff Senate and what that experience is like.
Well, again, that's been a great experience as well, going from a departmental representative to, essentially vice chair. One of my duties is to, of course, be second to the president, to support the president, Dr. Michael Bates, and also to help with governance, campus governance. Okay, it's important that in my role, that I give faculty, staff, and students an opportunity to make sure that their voices are being heard. Now, back in the past, and I've been told that the Faculty Staff Senate was able to control what the ticket prices were at the football games and basketball games. I don't think that at this point in life that we need to micromanage to that level, because we have vice chancellors, we have athletic directors. But I think it's important that the Faculty Staff Senate give people a voice. Right. If there are human resource issues, if there are academic issues, then we're the body that actually that takes on those challenges. And I just really enjoy it. I enjoy being able to interact with people that I may not be able to interact with because of our different areas of interest. So it's about governance. It's about being transparent and allowing people to give input to help make the university a lot better.
Okay. Now, there have been several recent articles about you online and in print, including our new Pride magazine here at the university. What were the driving forces for many of your professional successes that you've had?
Well, first, my level of faith. I think God was really big for me, being able to help me to to understand things. Mentors. I've had some great mentors. As I mentioned a few of them earlier, Dr. Clifton Orr, Dr. Willingham, and even new mentors when I came back to the university, Dr. Jesse Walker, Dr. Andrea Stewart, Dr. Mary Benjamin, Dr. George Hertz, Dr. Shelton Fitzpatrick, Dr. Anissa Buckner. They have been, those major driving forces in terms of helping me to really grow as a professional and as an individual.
Right. Now, I think it's interesting that, as you mentioned, some of your mentors that you're speaking of now, that they are peers. They are, in your same age group and circle. Do you find that that's something that's important for you to have peer mentors, or for students as well?
Absolutely, and I think my mentors are unique because they were my professors before, and they're still here. So now I can go back to them and they knew me when I was young, and now they can see my transition, and now because they have that wisdom, they can help me to take what I try to do to the next level. I think again that goes back to, as we talked about, student relationships in terms of faculty student relationships. It's important that you do that. It's important that you have that kind of air with another individual, so that they understand kind of what your goals and objectives are in life, and they can continue to help and support that.
Okay. All right, we're going to go to break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about the University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff. Okay. We'll be right back on UAPB Currents.
Body language can tell you all sorts of things. Like someone is having a stroke. Know the sudden signs. Learn fast. Face drooping, arm weakness, speech difficulty. Time to call 911 and get them to a hospital immediately. Learn the body language and spot a stroke fast.
A full life, measured in seats, starts with the right ones early on. Car crashes are a leading killer of children 1 to 13. Learn how to prevent deaths and injuries by using the right car seat for your child's age and size.
Welcome back to UAPB Currents, and again we're joined by Dr. Sederick Rice, who is an assistant professor here in the biology department. And we've had the opportunity for you to tell us about who you are as a teacher and a mentor, your work here on the Senate, your experience as a student here at the University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff, and now as a faculty member. You've grown up around the university and have gone away and come back, and now you serve the university, your alma mater. What are your feelings about the University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff and its image, and then how do you think others perceive the university?
Well, as an alumnus, I love UAPB. Everything that I have is because of this place. The mentoring relationships. This institution has been here over 140 years, and that says something.
Yeah.
You know, that says something about our effectiveness. That says something about, you know, what we're able to do and how we're able to change lives. I'm just the biggest cheerleader for this place. And sometimes people get a little angry about that, because when they're talking about their universities or even other universities in the state of Arkansas, I'm loyal. I'm UAPB.
Right.
I think also, though, that I think, you know, in terms of what other people think, that they have opportunity to always talk about what UAPB is not.
Right.
But they really never focus on what UAPB is in terms of what it's been able to do over the last 140 years in terms of opening up doors and opportunities for people who may not have gotten an opportunity, you know, to get a quality education. So I think for me, UAPB is everything. I've always wanted to be here, and when you go off and you work other places and you do different things, and it's nothing like home.
Right.
And as I alluded to earlier, being on the other side is just such a joy and such a blessing, because I can see me and those students that are trying to get where I am, and I'm just blessed to have an opportunity to try to help them do that.
Okay. Now, what is your vision as an alumnus and a faculty member, and if those are different, for the university? What would you like to see the university become?
I would like to see the university be sustained. I don't think the University of Arkansas is going anywhere.
Right.
A lot of people are maybe nervous about that and thinking about things that are happening in our community or across the state of Arkansas, but UAPB is here to stay. We've been here 140 years. I would like to see UAPB get better at what it does. Okay, UAPB is not UAMS. UAPB is not University of Arkansas Fayetteville, and nor do we have to be.
Right.
I want us to be good at what we do. Continue to continue to give opportunities to those who may not have gotten those opportunities. I want to see us to grow, but I want us to keep those core missions and values there, which is giving those people who may not have get an opportunity to go to that next level, an opportunity to learn and grow within our environment. As an alumnus, I see it the same way. As long as this place is here, I'm happy. As long as we're doing good things, I'm happy. As long as people are saying good things and we're presenting ourselves well in the community and around the world, I'm happy. So the UAPB brand for me is excellence.
Right. Now, what do you think that your fellow alumnus and faculty members and staff, even here at the university, can do to help us sustain the university and boost a positive image for the university?
Just love this place. Love it. You know, the things you love, you take care of, right? So if you love something, then you take care of it. I think in terms of, you know, and we alluded to me being in print and online, you know, that's for a purpose. I want to always present the best that UAPB has to offer. You know, it's not just because I just want my name in the paper or want to be on Facebook. It's because I want to continue to present the best the university has to offer as appreciation for what it's done for me. Right. So I think our faculty, our staff, and our students can continue to have pride for this place, love this place, and I think the place will love it back.
Right. Now, do you feel that there are any improvements that we could make as a university, not only to the things that we're doing, but to the UAPB brand, to get us out there more? Maybe.
Sure. I think as we get more people to present ourselves, you know, present our brand, I think it works a lot better. I was just coming back from Washington D.C. and I had my UAPB lapel pen on. And an older man asked me, well, do you go to that university? I said, yes. And we began to dialogue. And I met an alumnus from 1966.
Okay.
And he knew my grandfather and father and aunties and stuff. So what I think we need to do is to push UAPB everywhere. Every time you see that Golden Line logo, you need to be thinking about UAPB. Right. I think in the city of Pine Bluff, I would like to see everybody that interested in getting higher education or going for a degree come to UAPB. I think the city should promote UAPB a lot better. But I think, at home, it's important that we use that model, that when we see that golden line, that represents our pride and that represents our love for our institution.
Right. Now, I've seen you several times at the Pine Bluff City Council meeting, since
Yes.
you brought that up.
Yes.
And how do you feel that the city is the relationship between the city and the university are? And do you feel like something that could be stronger?
Absolutely. And I think they need to see UAPB as an asset and resource. If you look at other cities that have universities, the university is the draw.
Right.
The university can improve your population. The university can improve your infrastructure. The university is what can bring in industry and jobs. So I think that if we improve our relationship with the city, everybody is going to benefit.
Right. Right. Now, if you had an opportunity to become Chancellor of the University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff, and we know you're not shooting for that now because you've helped on the selection committee to receive our Chancellor who is incoming. What are some of the things that you would do to support and sustain this institution now and into the future? And perhaps Dr. Alexander is listening.
Right. Well, I know I'm about 10, 15 years away. If God blesses me with that opportunity, I'll just keep going for it. But if not, then I'm satisfied doing what I'm doing. But I think one thing we can do is just, again, be able to evaluate all levels of the university. I think we lead by example. I believe in being a working supervisor. I believe in being a working chancellor. Chancellor means you have the authority to make change. I believe as chancellor, you bring in the best people. You bring in the best vice chancellors, the best deans, so they can hire the best department chairs and get the best faculty. I think that you present a love for the university. I think that you advocate for the university. When you go into the state legislature and when the budget cuts are coming down, then you're advocating for your piece of the pie because you're doing the best work that you can do. I think those are some of the things that I would do as chancellor, along with improving our community service. I would probably take a portion of my salary and give it to the Chancellor's Fund to make sure we can support those students who come from lower economic backgrounds. So again, just bringing that love into the university, I think that's what the Chancellor needs to do.
All right, well, thank you so much, Dr. Rice, for joining us on UAPB Currents today and letting everyone know what you've brought to the university, but not only that, but what the university has given to you and sharing your passion for the University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff.
Thank you for having me. I had a blast.
All right, and we will see you next time on UAPB Currents.